Baked Salmon Studios in downtown Tokyo, this is Bakeline. Here's your host, Baked Salmon. Good evening, and welcome to Bakeline. Tonight, we try something new. We are taking an actual Reddit AMA, Walter Babst was my teacher, ask me anything, and we are turning it into an investigative interview. But first, a warning. Some of what you are about to see and hear may be performative. Here's Baked Salmon. Thanks, Baked. I'd like to welcome our guest, Anna Nomouse. She has bravely agreed to do this AMA, having been a student of the infamous Walter Babst. Anna, would you like to say hello to our audience?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I was told y'all would be interested in me doing an AMA since Walter Babst was one of my teachers in high school. So ask me anything and I'll try my best to answer.
Walter Babst, a.k.a. John Hunter.
Who's that?
It's the name he gave Chris.
And then you sent this, John. Is that appropriate in any way? You know, that's against the law right there.
Is it?
Oh, right. I haven't seen his episode in a while. As you can imagine, it was a bit shocking to see him on TV.
Did he ever ask you to have a seat?
Constantly. I like to talk a lot.
And how did his demeanor in the TCAP episode compare to that of the person that you were familiar with?
Walter Babst did not stick out of a crowd. He was the kind of guy you'd see standing in line at the dry cleaners of the grocery store.
Was there anything unrecognizable about him in the episode?
I always remember him acting like he was always the smartest person in the room, smug and a bit arrogant. It was a shock to see him because he was totally caught off guard.
Did you ever see him drinking Coke? Like maybe he had one on his desk? Specifically a can of Coke?
Do you see my pic in the chat window? Yeah. Think you would like that in you? How big is it? Well, you saw. Go get a can of Coke.
That's one of the things I don't recall. But I do recall that he was mildly obsessed with Calvin and Hobbes comics and that he could draw.
It sounds like he could be a Reddit user, to be honest. Smug, arrogant, thinks he's the smartest person in the room, Calvin and Hobbes, unusual sexual interest. Yep, he's a Redditor.
Well, wouldn't that be interesting?
If you were in any classes when he came back briefly after the sting before being fired, what was he like?
He was caught right after I graduated, so I'm not sure of his demeanor after the incident.
What kind of teacher was he? Laid back? Strict? Clueless?
He was an arrogant asshat who felt he was the smartest person in the room and made you feel dumb if you didn't know something.
Walter Babst did not stick out of a crowd.
I was watching it for like 10 minutes.
Then he walks in with pressed jeans.
How did you find out he was on TCAP? Was it a shock to find that he'd attempt to have relations with a 12-year-old? Or did it seem like something he'd do?
I already watched the show and was shocked to see him. I was not expecting it, but also not really that surprised.
I know you didn't like Babst, but what was the feeling of most of the students? Was it, oh, Mr. Babst is a cool teacher, you want him? Or, Mr. Babst is an a-hole, you want someone else as your math teacher type of vibes?
Yeah, everyone knew him as the creepy guy that stares.
I'm curious, what did he do that you weren't too surprised?
Just giving creepy looks at girls and looking at them all longingly, it always made me feel awkward.
Never stick out of a crowd. Clean-cut guy. But here we are on a Saturday morning, and we know that this guy is a teacher.
Okay.
Did you ever see him in line at the dry cleaners or the bank?
Thankfully, no. I never ran into him outside of school and TCAP.
If someone got an F, did he tell them that they should be executed?
I need you to just arrest me and take me to jail and execute.
I need to talk to you first.
I don't remember for sure. This was many moons ago, but it does seem vaguely familiar.
Now, I'm going to ask you something. Am I under arrest?
Not unless you're a predator.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good.
don't you have a seat right over there, please? And right away.
I'm under arrest?
No, I want to talk to you.
Did he look at your butt and look down your shirt? He's my favorite predator, by the way.
I remember him looking at other girls down their shirts or at their legs and shorts or butts. I don't know if he looked at my rear since it's behind me, and thankfully I was a late bloomer, so the front didn't have much to see.
Did he make a lot of inappropriate jokes? Was he a Coke drinker?
I remember him making jokes, and he would be the only one laughing, but I don't remember if they were inappropriate or not.
How about his wife? Did his wife ever come visit him in school?
I never saw her, but maybe she did when I wasn't there.
Never, ever?
I've never done anything with anybody except my wife. Ever.
Never, not once.
What was the reaction that you had when you saw him on TCAP? Were you surprised, or did you say, yeah, I could always see him doing something like this?
You know, I was surprised, but not shocked. I was like, yeah, I could see this happening.
Also, I see that you mentioned him liking Calvin and Hobbes. So another question is, if you can remember, what were his personal tastes in things like music and movies, etc.?
I remember him liking Calvin and Hobbes and older cars. I guess that makes sense now that he's an aircraft mechanic. And he always wore a Hawaiian shirt and slacks.
What was your favorite thing about Walter Babst? Was it his flat top or his mustache?
My favorite thing was when his class ended.
I knew it. I knew it was a setup.
Fine. Now, what did the other students think of him? Do you have any interesting stories about him that went around the school? Innocent or strange? Any kind of story?
All I know is everyone thought he was a creep and that he always stared longingly at girls in his class. And he was always called Ned Flanders.
Did he seem like he enjoyed teaching? Did he ever talk about what led him to teaching as a career? You know, he really seems to have an engineer type of personality, not teacher. It will always baffle me how some people talk about him positively, as in not succumbing to the consequences of his crime and being a productive citizen a la Chris Urban, when in my opinion, he would have been an engineer or in a similar math-heavy field with a high proportion of people who are nerdy, neurotic, and arrogant, had he not, in my opinion, been a true blue pedo.
I feel like he enjoyed it only because he got to look at the girls. Otherwise, he seemed bored.
You know what? I didn't bring anything. I didn't want to do anything. Whatever.
Did he ever mention cooking meth?
Not that I recall.
Was he strong, or did he get his ass kicked a lot?
Go ahead, have a seat.
I knew it. Go ahead and bust.
You knew what? No, just sit tight. And what are you doing here?
Getting my ass kicked.
Getting your ass kicked.
Yeah.
No, serious question though. You said you graduated. Did you have friends who were still enrolled when the news got out? How did they take it?
No, I didn't keep in contact much with people after I graduated, so I'm not sure.
How does it feel seeing your previous teacher on that show? I won't name names or say which school I went to, but I know that my gym teacher got busted for something similar after I graduated.
It's definitely a strange feeling. I'm just glad I was a late bloomer and not much to look at when I was in his classes.
Did he ever have any good or sympathetic moments?
Not that I can recall.
Well, why did you come here, though? Help me to understand.
Because I'm a sick son of a bitch.
Did he ever have any sort of red flags that suggested he was a predator?
Yeah, he definitely liked to check the young girls out. And it was pretty gross.
A few years after this, we had a teacher that was full-blown prawn star that got exposed. I went to the same high school as you, by the way, but Babst was never my direct teacher, but I had friends in his class. We also almost had a student go ballistic around the same time. It was crazy. Quite the interesting high school.
Well, there was never a dull moment.
I've never done it before. I talk about it online all the time.
Well, help me to understand. I mean, do you have a compulsion, an addiction to the internet?
Was he a good teacher in general, and what subjects did he teach?
I had him for math and science, and I feel like he got annoyed when you didn't immediately know the answer to something instead of, teaching us.
Right.
I'm going to ask you something. Minor arrest.
You're not right now, no.
Are you upset that he was a predator that actually got better off compared to most predators?
Yeah, I don't really feel like any kind of justice was served. I have a hard time believing that he has changed his likes or behaviors.
I'm totally screwed. I know that. But it's... Forgive it.
Now, was he rumored to be a creep before the sting, or was just the excessive staring that was well known?
It was hard to tell as I was young and naive, but I think the general understanding was creepy dude.
Now, if there's anything else you'd like to say, he knows that this is even worse than getting arrested. He knows that this is going to be on television.
Anna, I really appreciate you coming on and doing this AMA. Thank you very much.
I hope I did okay. This was my first AMA. Glad I could share an interesting tidbit of my life.
He's starting to figure out that this is going to impact his career as a teacher.
Okay, folks, that's all for now. We hope you've enjoyed this bit of Reader's Theater. From all of us here at Bakeline, good night.
Hey, the little girl, this ain't no joke. When you saw how big it is, go grab a can of Coke. This cowboy to white, Ned Flanders in real life. Never ever did anything with anyone but his wife. Ever. The fool along the stool is 1/6 sort of a bitch. Confronted by Chris Hansen as he lurks around the kitchen. And hey, hey. The first thing that he says to Chris, get my ass kicked. The shot log that he has can make a grown man sick. This cowboy to white, Ned Flanders in real life. Never ever did anything with anyone but his wife. Ever. First thing that he says to Chris, getting my ass kicked. The chat log that he has can make a grown man sick. Oh, a pancake, bada bada, hey, bada bada, hey, bada bada, hey. Pancake, bada bada, hey, bada bada, hey, bada bada, hey. Hey there, little girl, this ain't no joke. Well, you saw how big it is. Go grab a can of Coke. Discount Walter White, Ned Flanders in real life. Never ever did anything with anyone but his wife. Ever. The fool along the stool is 1/6 sort of a bitch. Confronted by Chris Hansen as he lurks around the kitchen. And hey, bada bada, hey, bada bada, hey, bada bada, hey. The first thing that he says to Chris, getting my ass kicked. The chat log that he has can make a grown man sick. I need you to arrest me and take my ass to jail. Straight up execute me, son, and now it's time to bail. Oh, kinky, bada bada, hey, bada bada bada, hey. Kinky man in Corona, he's not gay, you can smell his breath. He's come to meet a young girl, she said her name was Beth. Pancake, bada bada, hey, bada bada, hey, bada bada, hey.
Sit, Chopper, sit. Good dog.